Lincoln's KFOR. Call the show now at 402-489-1240.
Welcome to it. It is Real Red Reaction on KFOR, KFORnow.com. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Jeff Motz, Bob Kitsmiller. It is getting done here at the Single Barrel and inside the Graduate 9th and P. There is joy in Huskerville, 44-25, a 10-game win streak snapped by the Badgers. And Nebraska, the first time all season, 4 quarters of good football. They win it today, fellas. We'll get to the comments in the stream. You're welcome to say what's up and say hello. 489-1240. How are you celebrating, Elijah? People were handing out champagne bottles to the various places in the capital city you frequent, my friend. And just make sure you point it away from your eye. If you're watching on the stream, Hail Varsity YouTube, Real Red Reaction YouTube can watch the show. Twitter with KFOR, Facebook with KFOR, Twitter with Hail Varsity, Twitter with Hail Varsity Radio. Guys, it feels good. There wasn't a lot of buzz or joy pregame. It was kind of, well, it wasn't a ghost town down here at the Single Barrel. It was pretty full, but just in the streets, you walk by folks, and there was 4 together. There was 2 together. Folks were looking to deal seats, but the stadium filled in for kickoff. Nebraska, a fantastic opening drive. What a difference Dana makes for the Big Red. Great game for Dylan Raiola. He looked as good as he's looked in the pocket. And, fellas, the run game. Emmett Johnson, a 100-yard rusher, the first 100-yard.
Lincoln Johnson.
Yeah, the first time Nebraska's had a 100-yard running back since the 2018 Ziggy, Divino Zigbo era. So good on Nebraska, good on the Big Red Faithful, and good on you for being a part of it. Nebraska gets that 6th win. Defense played well enough. Got a couple of key turnovers. The final 5 minutes of that second quarter, pretty big momentum-wise. Then the defense came out, got a 3-and-out. Hull was big with 3 field goals, and Nebraska did a lot. Elijah on offense ran the ball well for about 180 yards, threw for almost 300. Pretty complete offensive performance. Didn't like the tackling today by the Nebraska defense, but they got a week to recoup for Iowa. But, hey, you get 6, and smile, Nebraska. You're off to the postseason.
Yeah, I got the mini champagne bottle. I don't think you're going to hear it. It's cheap stuff. No, you can't hear it at all. But I got it. Champagne. Huskers Bowl eligibility. It's been a long time coming, Schmitty. It's been since I started out doing this whole radio thing that Nebraska hasn't done it. I was a junior in high school the last time Nebraska made a bowl game. So cheers to that. They're doing it. Detroit in December has never tasted so sweet. Maybe it's going to be even a better game. We'll see what happens next week. But
Nashville or Phoenix, baby. Nashville. Motzi, what'd you think?
This is probably the best I've seen this team play in a long time. Probably all around. When you look at how the run game worked today, they ran the ball quite a bit. The passing game looked tremendous. Yes, red beers for everyone. Enjoy it, fellas. Thank you, Connor. But I thought in general, this is probably the most well-polished Nebraska football team on offense that we've seen in a while. Now, defense, I saw early, when Wisconsin had that scoring drive, I thought, okay, here come the pass coverage issues again for this Nebraska defense. But somehow that defense started to settle down a little bit and kept Wisconsin at bay. All around, I thought it was a great game today. I thought Ja'Cory Barney, tremendous effort for the true freshman. I mean, this kid's going to be something else for this program moving forward. And what he did today, especially in scoring situations. I thought Dylan Raiola today looked much more relaxed and composed, not necessarily trying to rush to throw the football. Other than that, I thought Heinrich Haarberg came in, did a good job when he had to. He scored the first touchdown of the game. The kicking game looked good. Wisconsin, when I looked at Wisconsin, it's like, boy, this is like looking at what Nebraska's been the last 4 games, or what we've seen Nebraska be in recent years. So I thought today's effort for Nebraska was tremendous. My gosh, it's like Beirut here in Northeast Lincoln, fellas. I just heard a keg bomb times 100 go off in my neighborhood. So, but needless to say, I thought today's effort was by far one of the best performances I've seen this team perform probably in about 8 years. I mean, we've seen some good teams over the years with this program, but the way they played today reminded me of what the Nebraska of old used to be.
Tim, Bob, you've seen a lot of football. You've been along for a lot of the heartache, a lot of those heartaches against Wisconsin. This is nice. Hang tight. Let's get to a phone call. It's Real Red Reaction on KFOR, KFORnow.com, 489-1240. We're powered by the great folks at Slim Chickens. Elijah, who's with us?
We go to a very happy Bob.
Bob, talk to me here.
Oh my God, I can't believe it, but I know what happened. It's real. It's real. We're going to a bowl.
Bob, you've been calling for about 8 years. God love you. You've been waiting on this phone call for a long time, partner.
Chris, I've been a fan longer than 8 years. I've been a fan since Bob Kitsmiller was coach. And I remember, and I've been a fan through the 90s and through the horrible drought, and finally.
Yeah, they did it.
Bob, you popping that champagne tonight?
Huh?
You popping some champagne tonight?
I don't drink alcohol, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This may sound funny, but I'm going to have some iced tea, some cold brew iced tea, and I'm going to have some peanut butter biscuits. I'm going to have peanut butter biscuits tonight. But I'll tell you, oh my gosh. Wow. Holy cow. Now we got to go beat Iowa on Friday.
Well, just for safe keeping, Elijah and I will be making the trip again to see if we can go 2 for 2.
Yeah, that will be nice when it happens because, this game was so volatile, full of lots of scoring. I hope Nebraska can stop Iowa on Friday. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have my ears on.
I love it.
Bob,
you have that peanut butter biscuit. You have that vanilla ice cream. And you celebrate, man.
Yeah, I'm going to have some cold brew tea from it's the best iced tea that I've ever drank before. And I'm going to have a big 44-ounce mug of that tonight.
You go get that 40 done. Bob, we love it. Bob, appreciate you. Thank you for calling.
Holy cow. It's time to celebrate good time. Come on.
I love it.
Celebration.
Broke out the cool in the gang on us.
We do. I love it. Bob is getting it handled.
Hey, do we have an Omaha correspondent? We got to send somebody up to 72nd and Dodge in Omaha to see if anybody's hanging from the stoplight support up there like they did when they won the national championship.
Yeah, O Street's going to get with it. It's getting crazy packed here at the Single Barrel 9th and P. Bob, we love you. Appreciate you listening. 489-1240. How are you going to celebrate? Take us with KFORnow.com to stream. Tim, Bob, good stuff by the Big Red tonight. Ty Robinson being interviewed right now. We'll see if Husker Nation can go 3 for 3. You get Creighton last night. You get Wisconsin today. You get Wisconsin tonight in volleyball. But the Big Red did their job. Turnovers were pretty big. And Nebraska was able to play cleaner football, but also force some turnovers.
But can we talk about the offense? Sorry.
That's fine.
Tim, Bob, but we got to talk about that offense, right? Go for it, Tim.
Well, I'm going to say this, okay? I'm not a fan of Dana Holgorsen, but I will say good call. Matt Rule made the call, made the switch. Dana came in with a different voice, and I'll guarantee you it was a lot more volatile than what they're used to hearing. He lit a little, and again, I'll agree with Jeff. Dylan looked as comfortable as I've seen him all year, but I've been saying all year, run Emmett Johnson. He makes things happen. He makes plays. I've been saying run Emmett all year, and he did tonight. He looked great. That offensive line looked good. There were still some drops by the receivers. Should have been another touchdown by Naor and maybe another one. But overall, that offense looked, it was innovative. It was creative. It was hit the hole and then make a cut. And, you know, they came and played. And again, I thought after they gave up that big touchdown, come back down the field and get the score, you know, that was the one where I was thinking, this looks like, I was like with Jeff, this looks like what Nebraska does, a face mask, a personal foul penalty, or roughing the quarterback. I mean, just giving the plays down the field. But, hey, credit to Dana Holgorsen. He called a great game, adjusting, running somebody else's offense. You know, you got to give him a lot of credit, calling somebody else's plays, not even knowing the players. I mean, that's some coaching there. But good call, great offense. Love Emmett Johnson running the football. What did he have? 100 yards on the ground, 85 in the air. I mean, receiving. I mean, that's a dynamic night for a receiver running back for Nebraska, and it's been a while. So really, really excited and happy to get to 6. And I saw a great woman that said she's already hitting the whiskey shot. So it's going to be a wild night, boys.
Yeah, Emmett Johnson, Nebraska's leading receiver and Nebraska's leading ball carrier. 113 yards on the ground, 85 yards through the air, 22 total touches. Have yourself a day. My math skills are not great, but I think that comes out to 198 yards of total offense on 22 touches for Emmett Johnson. Give him the game ball. What a day. What a game plan by Dana Holgorsen coming in here, feeding him the ball. I loved the screen passes to the running backs as opposed to making those receivers go block on the perimeter. You get those offensive linemen out there. I love the commitment to the run game. 27 carries, I should say, with your running backs tonight. Add another 6 for Harburg and 1 for Barney. So I love the commitment to the ground game today from Dana Holgorsen. He was cooking. He just felt like he was in a rhythm. He knew what the defense was doing before they were doing it. It felt like Nebraska, how many negative rushes do you remember today? It felt like they were always piling forward for 3 or 4 at worst. Dylan Raiola was in a great rhythm all game. He was getting the ball out of his hand quick. Whenever he was dropping back to pass and going deep, he was finding space. 28 of 38, 293 yards for Dylan Raiola today. It's a testament to Dana Holgorsen and how that offense is flipped on its head. And let's not forget here, what were we talking about this week? Wisconsin was a team that was like Nebraska. Poor offense, but a great defense. Nebraska's offense made that defense from Wisconsin today, which, to be fair, they were shorthanded. But Nebraska's offense made them look like they were nothing special. And that Wisconsin defense, what's been carrying the water for them all year long.
You know, 3 weeks ago, fellas, when UCLA was in town, Nebraska was in a dumpster fire, both sides of the football. Look what's happened since, okay? You've got now a new offensive coordinator that we've talked about with Dana Holgorsen, who comes in. Here's a guy that was, you know, helping out a few other schools along the way after, you know, he left Houston. And look what he's done here in the last 2 to 3 weeks. He has transformed this offense. Now, it did transform out at USC last week, although, you know, there were a few things that happened. Of course, we're not going to mention that pass interference, you know, non-call. But what he did today is just a good indication of what progress can do in a 2-week time frame. Totally different offense, totally different mindset, totally different tempo from what you saw with UCLA here in Lincoln 3 weeks ago. It's amazing. And
you got to give credit to Matt Rule. I mean, that's a bold decision. I mean, to recognize
but he also, I agree with you, Tim Bob. Matt Rule at that point looked at himself in the mirror and said, I got to do something or my butt's on the line now. I mean, I got to take action. So he had to go get somebody like Dana Holgorsen and going to be an offensive consultant. Oh, all of a sudden now he's the offensive coordinator. So something happened, something fell into place where it could happen. And obviously this is the right decision. And, you know, we were talking about this, what was it, a few weeks ago on the show about people calling for Rule, you know, a coaching change at the top midseason. that's still disastrous. But if you make coaching changes or at least assignments to coaches on the staff mid-season, that may help things. Well, it's proven to work out so far. You got a team now going bowling because of what Dana Holgorsen's been able to do here in the last 2 to 3 weeks.
You've got a matchup in the chess match in the Big Ten. You need a true blue ball coach, and in this instance, a former head coach that's elite as an offensive coordinator. And you went out and hired him because he's in your network, right? He was willing to do this now versus in December, like he talked about this week. The thing you got to look at, Nebraska took care of the football from an explosive standpoint. They had a 19 to 12 and an 11-yard run. They also had pass gains of 27, 21, 21, and 19. You won the explosive play part of this thing, which was key. You still had 8, 7, 9 play drives. You still chewed clock, but you had balance. And at times when maybe you thought they were getting a little pass happy, they would go back to the ground game, and they always did well. Out of the gate, fellas, they were averaging about 10 yards a gain on first down. So their first down was really pretty good. Wisconsin's first down yardage wasn't bad either, but Nebraska was able to tighten up. Don't kid yourself either. Force it early on in this game by the Nebraska defense while they gave up yards between the 20s. Wisconsin's field goal kicker was 1 for 3. This game could have been a lot tighter going into half score-wise with Wisconsin hitting a couple of those field goals. Instead, Nebraska able to distance themselves and be up by 2 touchdowns at half, outscore them in the third quarter, outscore them in the fourth quarter. But you go 7, 17, 10, and 10. Your offense had, 3 punts all day? 2 punts, maybe.
Whoa.
You were able to convert into points and stay on the field. Nebraska pretty decent on third down as well.
My windows just rattled here. Seriously.
Seriously. 12:40 to get in here on Real Red Reaction,
That's the one thing
powered by Slim Chickens. What's up?
I've been saving fireworks in my basement since the 4th of July. I could have been lighting them off here at the station.
And
Bummer.
I'm sure they're all legal.
Yeah, they're
489
those Rockport specials you got there, Elijah.
No
Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens, 84th and Old Shady, 14th and Pine Lake. Stop by, get yourself a dessert, get some wings, party on as Nebraska gets to win number 6. Eileen shouting GBR in the stream. Good from Captain here. Nebraska Cornhuskers football team will win today, predicting it. I waffled. I went Wisconsin yesterday, and the forecast was all wrong with that. Mike says Nebraska's got a kicker. Justin chanting Dana, Dana, Dana. 3-putt is here. Good to have you in. Game Dog checking in on the stream. We give our shout outs here. Your mama always likes to tell us what she made for dinner. It says Wisconsin cheese soup, but I burn it and threw it out. It's fend for yourself time. I love it.
I'll tell you, you know what, Schmitty? How about every beverage of beer and booze and Havelock will be gone tonight? How about that?
It might be. Tuck says Wisconsin can't stop with the personal fouls. Take it how you can get it. Mr. Erickson is I'm in love. NASCAR Eric says bowl bound. I'm not crying. You're crying. And more from you in the stream. 489-1240. We'll hear from Matt Rule. The Snitley contingent has made their way, whiskey in hand. Let's go to the phones. Who's with us on Real Red Reaction?
We got Duce. Duce wants us to eat some crow.
All right, Duce. Fire away, my man. How we doing?
Duce is going to stick up for your dad. Your dad would have said the same thing I'm saying. The negativity the last week got a little old. Okay, look,
you can't hear him saying it.
I know, absolutely, I can. I know damn well what he'd say if he was on here. But I'm going to say it's okay when you're not sure whether you're going to win or lose. I get that. When you start questioning, though, the motivation and what's going on in the locker room, that gets, to me, that's a problem. And clearly, you guys were so far off base, you were closer to the moon than you were here today, because it was absolutely. So they were motivated, and Dylan said exactly what he should have said last week. Yeah, we're going to win next week. Because it's pretty hard to stand up in front of people and say, no, we're really not very good. I think we're going to lose next week.
Fair enough. No, you.
Thank you.
You got taken out with some of the postings on social media about the guarantee. It wasn't quite the Joe Willie Namath.
Correct.
It was not that
Correct.
poolside with Wayne Newton chest hair flowing. It wasn't that. It was
exactly.
But he needed to be confident. And hey, when it comes to the morale, they were completely down, understandably, after that USC game. How that thing transpired, and it was almost on a silver platter for them. They came back. Absolutely, they did. The seniors pulled through. The game plan was what it needed to be on offense. And Duce, they're using the guys they need to use. They're using Emmett Johnson to the tune of 22 touches. Yeah. They're finding Barney.
Emmett Johnson has played all year. What did happen, though, is Holgorsen was right. If there's a 4-foot hole, run through the damn 4-foot hole.
Yeah.
Don't be trying to get right or left or veer to the outside. This is not high school. There are a lot of fast people out there that are going to run you down. If there's a 4-foot hole, there were 4-foot holes a day, and he ran through them. And you see what can happen if you let it go.
Duce, I think Dana said what the team needed to hear this week. It might not have been what they wanted to hear. We questioned what the response would be. That team had one hell of a response today. So hats off to them.
One of the things, I did some time in the business where one of the things you need somebody who's the other guy. Good cop, bad cop.
Yep.
You need somebody who's willing to be the bad cop and say things that maybe Rule would like to say, but he can't say. So sometimes you got to know what role people are playing. Holgorsen came here with an idea that, hey, look, we've kind of mollycoddled some of these people. It's time for that to stop. Thanks, guys.
Amen. Duce, love you, bro. Be good. There he is. Yeah.
How about Barney? How about Barney showing up at
tailgates too? Go ahead.
I was going to say, give some love to Barney. He made some great catches.
I did earlier.
Yeah, I was just because, everybody's Emmett. I love Emmett Johnson, but Barney was another one of those players that wasn't getting the touches that he maybe needed to get. So Dana having a fresh set of eyes and saying, I don't know what these guys' names are, but the numbers tell me that kid can play. And I love that. Again, I'm not a fan of Dana Holgorsen, but today he was the right call, and everybody looked like they were on the same page.
Let's go back to the phones. Elijah, who we have?
We got Roger with us.
Roger.
Hey.
How we doing, man?
Hey, listen, I heard you before the game, so I've got a little suggestion to tell you that I guess your seats on the Wisconsin bus are still open. And
oh wow.
And the little white envelopes that were on your chairs are still there. So you can pick up that envelope in your seats and you guys can be gone.
The old bus ticket out of town, Roger. I know.
Absolutely.
I'll put my best Red from Shawshank hat and coat and tie on and find my way down to Wanat Nazejo, or however it was pronounced, down in Mexico.
Yeah,
and away we go.
You can't turn around fast enough. That's all I got to say. You got to stick with being negative about Nebraska because you were just so hard before the game. Yep.
That's, I'm wrong. They won. That's big. It's good that they won. You had no doubt, Roger?
Yeah.
No, did you have doubt going into this thing?
No, because I'm in my 80s. I've been around since Devaney. I had tickets for Devaney's game. I've watched Nebraska come back many, many times. This is not a time to throw your hat into the ring and say it's all over. And you did it. Yeah.
Roger, thank you. We'll get on that bus.
You bet.
There we go. People are keeping score. Wow.
Hey, you know what though, Chris? You hit a raw nerve with a lot of people. That's a good indication of listening. That's kind of a good thing, isn't it?
Wrong again. 489-1240.
Schmidt, I thought we agreed pregame that if we were wrong, we'd burn the tape. Clearly, people aren't burning the tape on us.
No. Yeah, we needed the Nixon administration.
Yeah,
By the way,
age, it lasts forever. So,
by the way, Dion and the Buffaloes go down to Kansas. KU beats them.
Yeah, that was the money line play last night that we were a little sheepish to make. 489. It's all receipt radio here on KFOR, KFORnow.com. What a nice win. Loose Lip says, finally a bleeping win. Man, it felt forever that this losing streak this November, it all feels so good. Matt Rule just wrapped up his press conference. We'll for sure hear from Matt Rule. Mike says jackpot. Absolutely correct. Jay checks in, says some not nice things about Satterfield. Cliff in from Florida says go Big Red. Eric is saying Husker balloons, another touchdown. I think that's another sentiment, aside from me being way off on this Wisconsin-Nebraska game. The sentiment here is really relief, right? And you wanted to pour it on because you owe Wisconsin a lot. They have brought a lot of pain and suffering to Nebraska, fellas, over the years since joining the Big Ten. First win over Wisconsin since 2012. And Nebraska's had their chances. Wisconsin's found a way. Nebraska did not leave it up for debate or doubt with the way they handled themselves in that second half. Really,
the offensive line. I thought they played well today. Offensive line, they executed some nice screen games. They got after some people. I saw it in the thread. Got to give the O-line some love. They played a pretty good game, opened some holes. And, again, the backs found the holes to run through. I did hear the announcer call out one time where Dowdell bounced it to the outside, and even Dylan was going, you got to cut that up inside. So I think everybody got the message. Follow the blocks, run where they're at, don't guess, and give some love to the offensive line.
Can I ask here to the group, now that we know how it ended up, what was the concern level after that first Wisconsin touchdown drive where they drove down the field, got the touchdown with the help of the refs, by the way? I don't know what a catch is for, but
I thought, as I pointed out here to start the show, I thought the way the pass coverage was for Nebraska defensively, I thought, here we go again. You're going to see the same poor pass coverage, and Wisconsin's going to exploit that more and more. Yeah. And that'll pull them in their favor.
I asked that question because I think it's credit to Nebraska. You could feel it. I was up in South Stadium. You could feel it in the stadium. A lot of people around had that, oh, no feeling whenever Wisconsin went and drove down the field on you and got their 7. You didn't respond offensively. People had that, oh, no feeling. It's a credit to the team that they stuck with it. They hung in there and ended up getting a win that was as decisive as they did, because I think a lot of people around Husker Nation had that, oh, no feeling when Wisconsin drove down with ease.
It was also big that you get a missed field goal because Wisconsin, when it was tied up, had a chance to take the lead.
Yep.
And Nebraska defense got to stop. They went 5, 6, 7 consecutive plays at Hartzog on that touchdown drive. It was a 6-play drive, but after that first third down conversion, they kept going after Hartzog. Nebraska and Hartzog persevered. Also, Dre Bly came in and played some corner for Nebraska, so they made some adjustments. They adjusted their coverage a little bit. Safeties got bit hard on that touchdown that made it a little uncomfortable. Oh, no, right? Beginning of that fourth quarter, 34-17. But Nebraska able to respond with that final touchdown drive by Dowdell. Nebraska always found a way to get points, right? Either with a touchdown or finish off a drive with a field goal. And that was so key. Wisconsin, not so much. Not only the missed field goals, 2 of those, the fumble that led to a Nebraska field goal, the 3 and out for Wisconsin to start that second half was really big by the black shirt defense. They go 9 plays, get 3 more. They turn Wisconsin over on downs after the field goal. Then they go 7 plays, 74 yards, and get the touchdown to make it 34-10. At one point, you're up by 24 points. You hang on and win by 19. And there's a lot of games now that you have Dana, and it was touched on earlier about complementary football. Your special teams really pretty good today. Your offense very good. Your defense good enough. They did really pretty well in short yardage situation again against Wisconsin. 489-1240 to get in on Real Red Reaction. Slim Chickens powering this. A quick timeout. Elijah will line up some calls. We'll hear from Matt Rule. We'll hear from Dylan Raiola. We'll hear from you as you're celebrating, you're partying. You are probably figuring out here a week from Sunday where Nebraska is going to go bowling. Let's see how things shake out in Iowa City. Nebraska can do what Coach McBride has predicted, and that's finish the year going 2-0 and a 7-5 mark. A quick timeout. More your calls, more your thoughts on Real Red Reaction. 489-1240.
Back in 3 minutes. Don't change that radio dial.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, head dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, head dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now during our Black Friday sale, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery when you add a base. And Cyber Monday.
This is the Real Red Reaction Show. Phones are open now. 402-489-1240.
Back here at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate as we're here for you. Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens. 489-1240 to get in. More of your comments in the stream. And you're welcome to watch as well as listen. KFOR, KFORnow.com. Real Red Reaction, YouTube, Hail Varsity, YouTube, Hail Varsity, Facebook and Twitter, KFOR, Facebook and Twitter. Elijah Herbel's in studio with his sparkling grape juice to celebrate. A little bit of a tribute and champagne poppage. Jeff Motz is in his man cave. Bob Kitsmiller also in his man cave. But yeah, Nebraska able to get the win convincingly, 44-25 over, beyond a a thorn in the side of Nebraska, the Wisconsin Badgers. Big Butler Jesus says, hot damn, let's go. I say if we had Dana all year, we're 8-2, possibly. You have Arlo checking in, shouting out Motzi. More of your phone calls, 489-1240. So far, the tally is, how dare you pick Wisconsin? How dare you flip your pick? I did. I was wrong. I was really wrong about the morale. And apparently several $1,000s that came flooding into Las Vegas with sharp money were wrong as well. I'm happy to be wrong, Elijah, Tim, Bob, and Jeff.
Hey, it happens in radio. You're wrong. I'll take it on the chin because of that result that we saw today. I do ask those people, though, did you guys have Nebraska scoring 44 points today? I don't know.
I had him for 24.
Yeah.
Or no, I had 20. I think 24 or 21.
Hat tip Dana Holgorsen for that performance. Also, we have Tad waiting on the line here.
Yeah. Tad. Welcome in. How you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you? Glad to have you back. You were a deer in headlights out here in California, buddy. Hey, listen, this is proof positive. You pound the football, boys, and look what opens up. This is what we need to be, pounding the football. We need to get some big guys, get some new guys, but that's where we got to be, and then Raiola can be Raiola. God bless you. Way to go, Cornhuskers. I got a tear in my eye after all those years.
Love it, Tad. Appreciate you, bud. There we go. Like it. There we go. Nebraska did well on the ground, did well in the air. Pretty balanced football was nice for the Big Red. Gray Woman 79 says, all hail Dana. Dana's a difference maker for sure. And you need that on your staff in the Big Ten. Absolutely need someone like that. Nebraska's got him. Now just keep him. Our friend Loose Lips says, I got to pick Iowa next week. Yeah, something like that. But you know what? Let's spend a little bit of time here on the seniors. We know what the offense, that's the story. And with this newfound explosiveness, balance, ability to put guys in position, the seniors, Ty Robinson, has played high-level football all season long. He's really tried to will this team. He was flying around. Nash was giving it his all. Bullock was nice in the middle. And you had some stoppage plays by Singleton and Gifford. Guys, I know it wasn't perfect in the back end, but it was better in the back end. I'll say this, too. The team tackled better in the second half. The big thing, though, is there was no time in this ball game where it got to a large pucker factor. This team had the lead. They were comfortable. They were able to respond if Wisconsin would score some points. The offense had the defense's back. The defense made plays. Special teams was good. You just need to see more of it moving forward. Black Friday, bowl game, and then carry it forward into 2025.
Let me ask you this, guys. We've been kind of hinting a little bit this week in terms of what particular bowl Nebraska could be heading. You were mentioning at one point Nashville and Phoenix, Schmitty. I think, Elijah, you were even saying maybe Detroit.
Maybe Charlotte.
Okay. So let's say if Nebraska goes to Iowa City Friday and gets a win, does that increase their stock more to where they may be going someplace else? Or if they stay and they go 6-6 to finish the regular season, are we looking at those four particular destinations possibly?
Well, they're going to get a jump. They're going to get a jump because of the fan base traveling.
I was going to say
whether they deserve a better bowl or not at 6-6 or 7-5. The Big Red Army is going to travel because it's been 8 years. So they may end up in a Music City, even though they're further down the old trough. Big Ten standing wise, the Bulls get to draft who they want. And they'll draft Nebraska higher because of the fan turnout, the fan finances, the fan and their beer budget. I mean, Nebraska fans have a hell of a good time when they travel. They've been saving their money for 8 years.
Ask me in a week where Nebraska's going bowling. I don't care where it is. I just care that they're going bowling. That's all that matters. They're playing football in December. They get those ever important couple weeks of bowl practice in December, which is huge for some of the younger guys getting some live good on good reps. That's really, really helpful. That leads you into a spring really, really well. And let's be clear. I mean, Husker fans deserve this. It doesn't matter where it is. As Schmidt said, they're going to go sell it out. Husker fans are going to go turn up wherever it is. I don't even care. I'm going to be working on my Christmas break, and I could care less. This is the best.
I was going to say, speaking of, I don't really have an opinion or any knowledge about where they're going to go the bowling, but that one graphic they had over the last however years, 11 years, Wisconsin has had 108 more scrim or practices because of their bowl experience.
I did see that.
That's a lot of time, a lot of reps that you gain that are just so valuable in today's game. So I thought that was a huge number. Again, I know we're celebrating 6 wins and all that, but the important thing is that opportunity to have those extra reps, to have that experience, to go to a bowl game, to just that whole time sets you up for the spring practice and gets that momentum going. So it is a big deal. And again, I hope they go beat the crap out of Iowa. Iowa struggled a little bit against Maryland this week till they had the big run late in the game. But I don't think they can throw the ball. And again, I can guarantee you the polar bear and Ty will be getting after them in the middle.
And Schmidt, I think you just brought this up on the stream, something we got to hit on. King Kong calls it the monkey, the King Kong off their back. It's just the cloud that's been hanging over this football program. How do things change now that cloud that's over Nebraska for 8 years is gone?
Fellas, don't you think they can? I mean, we've talked the word of the year has been momentum, right? When we talk about this Nebraska football program, how did the schedule stack up? It stacked up to maybe go into Ohio State unbeaten. That wasn't the case. But you had a bump against Illinois. Totally get it. But you had that Colorado moment, and you were racing downhill in the old go-kart. That's big time. But Nebraska was unable to kind of get momentum back after the Illinois game, and then Indiana, right? And then they rekindled some of it with a great effort against Ohio State. Then there's UCLA, right? So they've been unable to get that momentum back. They've got it back now with a win in the way they won over Wisconsin. So to me, fellas, they go in not really with just house money, but just a little jolt of confidence this late in the season, which is nice. They go in feeling great about themselves. They go in feeling confident in what they can do on offense, knowing that the defense will travel typically. They can go in with that M word again. They can go in with momentum and play at a high level because they're coming off of, dismantling a team that has been a pain in their backside for such a long time. It's so key to be able to go in off of a win versus another heartbreaker or butt kicking. So it's a spot they've not been in. Now they got to handle success because that's been a bit of a problem at times this year.
One of the things that is really important with this victory, Schmidt, it's important that they go and handle success. But now you as Matt Rule, we've talked about this previously plenty in the offseason. You go from selling hope, selling optimism in the offseason to recruits and transfer portal guys to selling real legitimate progress. You as Matt Rule can go talk to transfer portal guys or go talk to potential recruits and say, who is the guy who got Nebraska bowl eligibility for the first time since 2016? It was me. We're building something special around here. Other coaches have tried. Other coaches have failed. We got Nebraska to bowl eligibility. We got a 5-star quarterback as a freshman that went and played really, really well this season. I know he wasn't perfect. He had his freshman moments. But you as Matt Rule can go talk to guys on the recruiting trail and on the portal trail and say, you know what? We got something we're building here. You saw what Dana Holgorsen did at the end of the year. You see what we're building. We're bowl eligible for the first time since 2016. We're going to keep on building it from here. You can go sell that on the recruiting trail now if you're Matt Rule. It's really, really big to go from selling what the future can be to what you are actually tangibly building.
Brad of Fairberry's made his way in. Do you need a Guinness?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Two's fine, yes.
Does Doleman need a Guinness?
Does Nebraska need a bowl win? Yes. Or a bowl trip? Yes. Does Bill Doleman need a Guinness? Yes.
Doleman needs some motor oil. Get it to him stat.
Do it now. Do it now. And the folks here at Single Barrel have been awesome to us all season long. We can't thank them enough for our weekend edition of Hail Varsity games shows. And then, of course, post-game with Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens.
Let me ask you this. You're talking about the portal stuff and the recruiting trail, Elijah. Now what happens here when we look at staffing heading into 2025? I think it's safe to say that Dana Holgorsen has got a job for next year here in Lincoln. But what does that say for everybody else? Because I know there have been people here on the chat that have said, buy Satterfield, buy so-and-so. Do we see immediate changes take place after the bowl game from that standpoint?
Well, the question first off is it's not a question of does Nebraska want Dana Holgorsen? The question is does Dana Holgorsen want to be here? That's a question that's going to need to be answered over the first couple weeks of this offseason. If an NFL team comes knocking and says, Dana, we need an offensive coordinator next year, does that change anything? We'll see. I think it's abundantly obvious, though, that Nebraska will have Dana Holgorsen and Nebraska will take care of Dana Holgorsen if he wants to be around here. I don't think you're going to see any changes before a bowl game, as you said.
No.
Because you got recruiting, you got transfer portal you got to handle.
Right.
But I would venture to say that there will likely be a couple changes that will be made along the coaching staff. It's the reality of the world right now. There were some guys that their position groups weren't performing up to snuff this season. I think that might be a season or a discussion for after the season, because right now, just soaking in the fact that you're going to a bowl game after years of disappointment, years of heartbreak. Soak that in for now. Matt Rule's going to soak that in for now. I think you worry about the staffing issues probably after Black Friday. More realistically, though, it's not cutting time after the bowl game. But you're probably going to have some conversations here after Black Friday. I'll save that conversation for then, but I would be surprised if there wasn't moves that were made.
Go get it done in Iowa City. Get to your destination. ReliaQuest Bowl folks were on hand. That's in Tampa. They were up close and personal. Bill, what'd you see today? Nice to have you.
Thanks for having me. I saw a Nebraska football team that performed like a lot of Nebraska football teams I grew up watching for a certain extent. Not the 90s, but more of one of those teams that played in the 80s where you knew they were gonna win 9 games a year, and then make it interesting against Oklahoma. But look, that's just for those people at Memorial Stadium today or watching on TV and seeing what Nebraska did and really was in control throughout. That's what it was like. That's what it was like for decades. You watched them dominate an opponent, and you set the stage for the season finale. And a lot of times against Oklahoma, it didn't go so well until Coach Osborne made the change with Turner Gill in the option, and then things really started to roll. But that's what it looked like every Saturday. And the thing that I was most impressed and I desperately wanted to see, and I know they wanted to impress me with this, was that they had to come out and care. I mean, the last home game against UCLA, I think they played reasonably inspired against USC. I don't think they believed they were going to win. But they came out today and they were inspired. And I said on the Average Joe Sports Show that I thought this was really a game that centered around Ty Robinson. Because if you came back to Nebraska to get them to a bowl game and saying that you believed in what this program was doing with under Matt Rule, and then you can't get your team inspired in your finale, then that would really say a lot more about the culture. But he had to be the inspirational leader in the locker room and on the field. And I'm not sure if he was the guy, if he did the "we die" speech, but I did think he played inspired football today. I don't know what his stats were, but he and Hutmaker were difference makers on the defensive line. And what did he have?
5 tackles.
Look, but
he affected the line of
scrimmage.
scrimmage.
Yeah, he and Hutmaker both, I think, were difference makers in the game. John Bullock, I think Nebraska's senior defensive players played the way they should, and just they put a pretty good foundation in place if Nebraska has the players that are willing to build on it. So that's what I think was the most important thing, is that they came out and played inspired football. And I watched them exit the field at halftime. Instead of, how did they come out, but how did they go in? And with that 10-point outburst at the end of the first half, getting the touchdown and then getting that turnover and getting the field goal. I mean, you had offense performing, you had defense forcing a turnover and getting a field goal, all in the span of about a minute and a half. And they ran into the locker room. They knew that they were doing something special. And in the end, they did. They got their 6th win. This isn't where the program used to be, but maybe the foundation is a little more solid as a result.
489-1240 to get in here on Real Red Reaction. Few of the folks most of the folks have followed us from the stadium to the single barrel inside the Graduate. We're here for Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. More of your comments in the stream. More time for you to jump on at 489-1240, 800-825-5865. But Huskers get it done today, 44-25. Moonbot is happy. Chasing 3 is back after being shelved. But no, I think if I had to pick what was most impressive to me today was just the confidence / crispness of the offense. The mix of the run, the pass, but the ability to stay with the run and really hammer away. We've been screaming for Emmett Johnson for a long time. Emmett is a guy that was the Minnesota Player of the Year, and he's been your go-to fourth quarter dude in some of the brighter moments during the Rule era. For whatever reason, he's not been the go-to consistently. They're still sweet on Dowdell. He's been good inside the red zone. Good on Nebraska settling in on Emmett, getting him 22 touches, getting him 185 yards total offense, 113 on the ground, 85 when it comes to catching the football. But he's a weapon. He finds the hole. He hits the hole. He's got make you miss. He's got good acceleration. He's tough, and he holds on to the football.
And that's what you expect out of a College of Journalism and Mass Communication student athlete. All right. I've been saying it for years. Emmett Johnson is a difference maker. We see that each and every day in the Coach JMC.
Ron Brown recruited him. He saw something and needs to be used and used some more. Elijah, who's on the horn for us?
I think we got Matthew on the line.
Matthew, thanks for calling. Welcome into Real Red Reaction. Go for it.
Hey, man, long-time listener, dude. I listen to every post-game, every pre-game. Appreciate everything you guys do in the community. I've got my 8-year-old Grayson and I, man. We've been coming to game after game since he's been alive. He good friends with Chris Rath and those boys, and he week after week, right? I mean, the last few years, we've gone to every spring game. We go to every fan day. We sweat it out in the heat. No matter what, we show up. Every week, this kid, since we get to 5 wins, just hopes and hopes and hopes that our family vacation can be somewhere for a bowl game, right? This kid, I'm telling you, started the fourth quarter I'm not joking, literal tears. He goes, Dad, this is the one. Dad, this is the one. And I still, right? Still until the clock hit 0, I couldn't really believe it. It's crazy to think how far things have have separated from when I was his age, but it's still at the end of the day, man, this is, I know it's just a 6th win, right? But hear me out. It's a generational win. I mean, this kid and me, we come to week after week, game after game, every home game. And for it to be Wisconsin, for it to be the way that it was, in fashion that it was, man, and as Father of the Year, first field storm, right? So at the end of the day, fellas, this was bigger than a football game. And shout out to the seniors, man. It's a shame that Tommy Hill couldn't be out there, but you know what? Like, this is bigger than that, fellas. Appreciate everything. I'll shut up and listen. Thanks, man.
Matthew, appreciate you. Thanks for tuning this in.
I hope enjoys Detroit.
Well, I'm thinking Arizona.
Well,
speaking of parties at Joe Mama's house in Arizona, if we get to Phoenix.
Speaking of Tommy Hill, there's a possibility. I know he's been out he was out today. He's out next week for sure with that foot injury. There's still a chance that he could probably come back and play in the bowl game too.
He's done, man. He's out.
I want to get back to that. Can we get back to that phone call really fast?
Yeah.
That was a special phone call.
That was great. That was really awesome.
A generational win. I mean, that means something to so many people in this state. What the win today is. The fact that he's an 8-year-old. He's been coming to games since he's been alive, and he has never seen Nebraska go to a bowl game. I know it's been a while for me to never see it, and to go get that experience today in Memorial Stadium. Nebraska did it that emphatically today. That is a special phone call. Thank you, Matthew, for giving us that phone
Matthew,
call.
that is so good. Think about the emotional investment he's talking about.
Yeah.
Where his little boy has been going with him for years and years and years. The financial investment by, yes, Father of the Year, because you ask Junior, I'm not ever nominated for that. So,
because you rat him out on the radio every day.
Got to do it. Got to do it. You got to make a change, right? If he won't listen to me, might as well call him out. But pretty good to hear from Matthew. Appreciate Matthew's candidness with that. So, hey, it is big time for Nebraska. We're approaching. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Matthew, I'm not sure if you're on social media, but if you make the bowl trip this year with the little guy, we want to see a picture of you in Tampa or Arizona or Detroit or wherever it is. Send us the picture. We want to see you guys on that special vacation.
That's incredible. I'm getting texts from the family about where they going. I'm like, well, here are the options. And I'm like, well, Detroit? Hey. I think
Detroit's a resurgence, right?
I like give me Phoenix or give me Nashville. I'll buy some cowboy boots, man.
Phoenix.
Nashville, though? Ooh.
Nashville would be fun.
Nashville would be fun.
Wherever Nebraska goes, there will be 60,000 people there. There are chambers of commerce right now putting together special packages that are going to be overnighted to every house. You think you got a lot of text messages during the political season. Everybody with a 402 or 308 area code is going to get bombarded by text messages and emails and flyers in the mail about special packages to whatever bowl game Nebraska might go to.
That's for sure.
Schmidt, all I'm saying, could be fun to load up the old truckster, go get ourselves an RV and go road trip it.
Oh my gosh!
You have
Don't
fun
get
with
Cousin
that.
Eddie's RV.
No,
Don't get Cousin Eddie's.
Last time I went on an RV road trip was down to Oklahoma for 2021. Uncle Andy's RV was one of those RVs that when you park, you can have more living room space, and the sides of the RV jet out. Well, where I was sitting jetted out on the middle of the interstate. My brother looks at me, he's like, Chris, why are you in Andy's side mirror? So we had to pull over and fix the fuse box and collapse it. Poor Uncle Andy's going Han Solo with a wrench on that damn RV trying to get us ready for takeoff. You remember that RV, Elijah? It's where we did the pregame show.
Had a great time on that RV. I had a better time than you on that RV.
Yeah. Well, you guys can either do your show or we can get the air conditioning working. We got to do the show. And away we went. So, no, thank you to the RV suggestion. We are right about an hour in. Let's take a timeout, and we'll hear from Matt Rule. When we come back, more of your phone calls. You want to throw some darts? I am not very evasive. I am here for it. I have got salt, pepper, and a little misty seasoning on my crow. Wrongly picking Wisconsin.
And Creighton.
Yeah.
You're having a hell of a weekend.
That's right. I am doing the Lord's work. You go against me, you're making money.
Don't. Hey, I will say this: the sun came up today for me. Unfortunately, last night was a bad night for me, but a good night for you guys.
Yeah, I'm not sure if people know we got a J-sker on this show. Uh-oh.
I didn't say I was a J-sker. I didn't say that.
Yeah, you hate me. Motzi's got a Wisconsin shirt underneath that sweatshirt.
How'd you know?
You're mad at me for picking Wisconsin in a tight
How
one.
about this, Elijah?
Oh, dear God. Oh, no.
Well, they're going to get hammered by Alabama tonight.
Hey,
yeah, they are. They're going to get routed.
Smitty, can you do me a favor and pick the Raiders against my Broncos tomorrow? I'd be much appreciated.
Not only will I do it, I'll drive it up to the boats and do it for you. All right?
Thank you.
A timeout, more of your thoughts, more of your calls, more of your interaction on Real Red Reaction YouTube channel, Hail Varsity YouTube, Facebook and Twitter with KFOR, 489-1240 to get in. Can share your experience tonight. How are you celebrating? And what bowl destination do you want? Or does it matter at this point? The fact is it's 6 and maybe some more for Nebraska. Matt Rule when we come back here on KFOR, KFORnow.com.
This may sound like a typical high school basketball game being played on a Friday night in Nebraska. In fact, it's a crash course in cooperation and teamwork. It's a test of dedication, determination, and drive. It's character development in action. If you think high school sports are only about competition, think about this. High school sports can play a critical role in a student's overall education. In fact, studies show that students who participate in school sports are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in their academic lives. At the same time, playing sports helps teach lessons not covered in the classroom. Lessons like tolerance, respect for the rules, and the importance of supporting your community. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Nebraska School Activities Association and the Nebraska State Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association. It may not require a textbook, but it's filled with valuable lessons. It may not take place in a classroom, but it's an ideal environment for learning. It may not involve a diploma, but it can help prepare Nebraska's young people for life. It's high school sports. High school sports can play a critical role in a student's overall education. In fact, studies show that students that participate in high school sports are more likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in their academic lives. If you think high school sports are only about competition, think again. Better yet, think about attending a high school sporting event in your community. You'll be amazed by what you see. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Nebraska School Activities Association and the Nebraska State Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff.
Get your thoughts on now. The Real Red Reaction Show is unfiltered at KFOR.
Back here at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate, it's Real Red Reaction powered by Slim Chickens, 14th and Pine Lake, 84th and Old Shady. How about some Slim Chickens tonight? How about a little wings? How about some sauce? Maybe a salad for some of us? I'm raising both hands on that one.
Grilled strips.
The strips are good.
The grilled strips. The grilled strips are the best.
The dessert is phenomenal. Get to Slim Chickens today. 14th and Pine Lake, 84th and Old Shady, where you go. As we invite you down here to the Single Barrel. Whiskey is flowing. The Snitley boys, part of the Boulder Peace Treaty, are trying to empty every barrel. God love them. Jeff Motz is in his garage. Office. Tim Bob is in his basement. Elijah has his champagne to celebrate. He's in studio. Ryder Fairbury is with me, Bill Doleman, Chris Schmidt. And we're going to hear from Matt Rule right now. We thanked so many of you all season long. Do want to remind you that the Black Friday edition of Hail Varsity will be live 3 to 5 across from Kinnick at the Marriott in Iowa City next Friday, 3 to 5. Then Real Red Reaction from that Marriott across from Kinnick, taking you into the midnight hour with Real Red Reaction. Nebraska going for 7, chasing 7 as they get win number 6, are now bowl eligible. There is joy in Husker land for the first time in 8 years as Nebraska's postseason ready. Let's hear it about how it happened. Matt Rule and his postgame presser here on KFOR, KFORnow.com.
Obviously, good win. Happy for the guys. Thought it was as well-rounded as we played from the opening kickoff, on the kickoff return, special teams, offense, defense, kicking field goals. Thought it was as well-rounded as we can be. So credit to the guys. As I told them, we feel like we're doing something different. They're doing the same things. They've just worked and worked and worked and gotten better and better and better. Especially proud of those seniors. 30 of them, all different, different journeys to get here. But especially the guys who've been here for a long time. They've been through 3 coaches, different ADs. As I said earlier, they've stood in the gap. It's not easy to do, a place with expectations like this, and they've done it. So I was really happy for them to be able to grab that trophy, and they've never seen it before, and hold it and bring it in the locker room. So happy for them. Happy for last year's seniors. It was great to see, the Ethan Pipers, the Taggies, the Reimers, the guys who, we weren't able to get them there last year. I promised them last year that I'd fly them to the bowl game. So I was happy that we can guarantee a couple more weeks, and we can bring those guys from last year hopefully to the bowl game this year. So
you wanted the players to do. You said that they're going to be the guys that your offense circle did that today. What accounts for how well your offense played from start from the very first drive until the final touchdown?
Well, Sam, it's I just can't have a good moment, right? Me, I have to always do whatever. But even at halftime, I was like, we turned the ball over on the 20-yard line, so they gave our offense did. We missnapped it on third down for again. We had a penalty after a touchdown that led to a good kickoff return. So, we dropped a couple touchdowns. So there was still a ton of plays that were left out there. I just think Dylan was really on, and we ran the football really well. Jacory worked the middle of the field. But, I thought Emmett was, first 100-yard rush for the season. But, also catching the ball in the backfield. The tight end showed up. The ball went to where it was supposed to be. We were able to protect the quarterback. So I just think, they went out and they executed. And when we executed, we scored. When we didn't execute, we struggled to score. But that gets my point. There was no new plays. I had to call timeout a couple of times because Dana was, tripped up trying to get the words out. And because, he knew what he wanted. And a lot of plays, some of the other coaches helped him with. I thought it was great collaborative by those guys on the sideline.
Can you speak to the rhythm that your offense found into the first half and then into the second half? Just the rhythm and play calling, just the way that the offense moved.
Yeah, I think if you go back throughout the course of the year, we've had a lot of drives killed by penalties and things like that. I thought there was no negative plays, right? So last week, I know you guys asked me about pushing the ball on the field. I said, well, we were able to get the ball in the quarterback's hand. Every ball kind of went forward, right? It's like playing links golf, just keep knocking it down the fairway. And today we were able to do that, but also make some explosive plays. But the players made the explosive plays. The players made people miss. Like Emmett was untackleable at times today, right? So I thought that was another component to it. And then we were probably, more aggressive in the fourth quarter. As I've talked about, me looking at it and saying, hey, how do you kind of challenge and change the way that we're going to play to be a little bit more explosive? And we threw the ball more in the fourth quarter than I normally would. And Dylan made those plays. Like he made great decisions. He put the ball where it needed to be. And even I don't know how many we scored, but 44. We probably could have scored 55. With a couple balls hit our hands and we had to kick field goals. So, credit to those guys for coming out and making the plays.
What does it mean just to advance the program forward at this point, to finally get over this hurdle that's blocked the program since 2016?
Well, I think there's obviously like a psychological component to it, but there's also a physical component to it. And as I said when I was talking to the production, you think they've the last 7 years Wisconsin's been in the bowl game. That's roughly 15 practices a year. That's 105 practices that their players have had of development that we haven't had. And so, this is a great way to send off the seniors. It's also an opportunity for us to continue to develop our players. And then kind of the cloud that kind of hangs over everything, it's gone. This will be the last time we ever celebrate 6 wins. But as I've told our players, it's always the hardest to do it, because it's always hard to be the first to do it, right? Everyone's always, your own self. You're questioning, like, is this right? Is that right? Once you do it, it's like, okay, this works. I trust it now. And so I can't thank, Ty and Giff and Nash and all those guys enough. Bryce's, they've trusted it. And, whether it was Buschini putting the ball out of the 2, it just comes down to players making plays. And so I hope as we come in tomorrow, our players have a much better picture of what's possible when you do things at the level they're capable of. And, we got into a bowl game. We have another opportunity on Friday to go play another game and a rivalry game, and it should mean a lot to us.
Hey, Matt, what kept your confidence during this tough stretch here, the 4-game losses, and then keeping this team together? You make some personnel changes, but what made you believe in this team so much?
Well, it's like it's the third time I've done this, and I'm in the same exact spot that I've been every time, right? So it's just kind of like, the hard thing now is, you see other people that are doing it faster in different ways, and so I guess that makes sense. Like why people say, well, why didn't we do this? Why did we do that? But I was just trusting in what I saw, and like I said, at USC, me and Troy were talking this week. I said, they get a defensive pass interference missed call on the 1 and the 1 on the goal line. If we score one of those 2 touchdowns, does everyone now believe that what we're doing is right? So, but again, as I said to you guys, I wasn't going to worry about the refs. I was just going to worry about trying to play better. And I think the guys are just getting better. We have a freshman quarterback out there. Like, he's going to get better every week, right? Like, we have young players, we have guys who have, so I just think seeing the guys, seeing the way they work every day, knowing that they're here, they hear all the noise, and they probably have their own questions. Like, Coach, you're working us really hard, and we're not getting what we want. But no one's ever accomplished anything in life by quitting halfway through. And one of the quotes, and I think it was James Clear who said this, whether something's a success or failure usually depends on when you measure it. So if you measured it last week, you would say, boy, they're failing. Today, you might say, boy, they're being successful. And so I just prefer to take the long approach. There's unbelievable leadership here, whether it's, President Gold, whether it's Troy Dannon, whether it's Governor Pillen, whether it's all the people that support the program. All the people have just kept saying to me, like, hey, we trust you, just keep doing it. And I keep saying that to the players. And I think you saw a team today that a lot of questions you guys asked this week was, hey, where's their head at? Like, I thought you saw a team today that obviously believes in what we're doing.
What was your immediate emotion? You know when you're going to win. There's probably about 3 minutes left of 19. What is the emotions that flood over you, and what did you see?
I was. It was important to me that those, because Wish came over to me and said, hey, those guys need to go grab that trophy, and I had forgot that there was a trophy, and not because we haven't had it. It's just not the way my brain really works that way. But I was like, and I just can't tell you like how much Ty Robinson means to me. I just can't express it. I can't express how much. Those guys have meant to me, and I don't know that everyone's always treated them fairly. I don't know that like they've got. I don't know if anyone understands what they've had to endure here. It's just hard to be a player and have different coaches. It's just so hard, right? And I've seen the look on their face coming off the field after UCLA. I've seen the look on their face coming off the field, and just me like being like, what else can I do for them? So honestly, Sam, today my speech to them in the locker room was, I would give anything to do this for you, but I can't. You have to go do it, And so my emotion was that I wanted them to have that moment. And then, then I was just trying to get off the field. They wanted to interview me with the Big Ten, and they took a long time. And, I got a little bit choked up there too, because I just, they've worked so hard, and I wanted them to have this.
I know how much you stress the middle 8 portion of the game. You win that 13-0. Just how much of a lift did that give you guys going in the locker room with how the half finished and everything? Yeah, no doubt. I thought we did a nice job at the end of the half of scoring a touchdown, right, and then getting the field goal, and then calling the out of bounds play, and then John. Credit to John. Just think about what he's done to improve this year. I mean, from there were days. I don't want to say this embarrassing. There was a day or two when we kicked field goals in practice where he didn't make one. And I told you guys, I sat there that day talking to him when he was in the hot tub, and I was like, "Hey, you'll get through this at some point, I promise you." And just to see him, just the faith we had in him. But that was really important coming out of the half. We could have had a touchdown there too coming out of the half. I think the biggest thing, and I think credit to Coach Holgorsen, what he's brought to the offense. Maybe it's play call. I think the biggest thing he's brought is a little bit of swagger to them of we threw the touchdown to Nayor, but he was out of bounds, right? And so typically that would be like, oh my gosh, we're snake, and he was just like, let's do it again, and then we threw a touchdown 2 plays later. So I thought that aggressive mindset of hey, we're going to keep going, guys, until they pull us off, we're going to keep going. I thought that was good at the end of that.
Was the play up front on offense? Was it as good as last week? Was it a continuation of last week?
I have to see it on tape, but I thought we controlled the game. I don't know what the final yards rushing were. I don't know what the numbers were. That's Wisconsin, that's a tough physical team. And, they held Oregon last week to 16 points. They held Penn State. Penn State scored a late touchdown to make it 28. No one the whole year. I don't think it was maybe Alabama scored this many points on them. So I would assume, that we ran the ball well. I thought we were able to drop back and throw the ball on first and second down without any heat coming at us. And, guys executed like the play to Emmett down the sideline. I don't know if you guys remember that. That's just, that's the hot, and that's just Dylan doing his job and Emmett getting his head around. So, it looked to me, but I'll have to watch the tape. It looked to me like we really ran the ball well. The drive before the half, we were in kind of a 2-minute mode, but we were in 12 personnel. We were in 2 tight ends, and that allowed us to kind of have a run pass mix. And I just think I don't think that was planned. That just kind of Dana was feeling it, and the guys were moving the ball. So I would think so, but I'd have to watch the tape.
Is there any part of this that's a feeling of relief?
Yes, 100%, 100%. And again, it's relief in that. I've got the benefit of doing this twice before, and staying I think I said to you guys when I made the change with Dane, I look at the weight room, I look at the training room, I look at sports science, I look at sports psychology, I look at the player development, I look at the recruiting, I look at all the things we're doing and believe it's all right and it's all going to pay off in a big way. It's just I look at the players and they're coming in every day, and then it's a close loss, and then it's a close loss. Will this work? Will this work? Will this work? And I would have liked to have gotten our 6th win a long time ago. But there's something really important to us about playing Wisconsin. To be quite honest with you, Julie and I sat there 2 years ago and we watched the Wisconsin game, and it looked like it wasn't going to work out where I was going to come be the head coach, just couldn't make things work. I remember watching that game and watching Wisconsin it was a close game, and then Wisconsin just kind of beat us up on the line of scrimmage and pull away at the end of that game. And then soon thereafter, Trev and I were able to work some things out before the Iowa game. So to come, full tilt 2 years later, to be able to run the football in the game, to be able to stop the run, I'm proud of them, but it does feel like relief, and it feels like relief because I want those older players to leave here. Like Giff kept saying, as he was walking at halftime, I want to change the program forever. And I'm just, obviously we're not where we were in the 90s. We're not there. I'm saying just in terms of we're not snake bit. There is no curse. You got to just go play good football. And if you play good football, good things will happen. So love to do that again Friday versus a great team.
You saw that Corey Barney puts together a career high receptions and yards as well. How special has it been to see throughout the season? Yeah, Jacory's one of the most competitive guys I've ever been around. He's one of the hardest working guys, and what I like about him is, he doesn't really we're not out there trying to scheme guys up to get open. Coach is calling plays, and Jacory runs a route as hard if he's the first progression as if he's the 4th progression. He runs every play like it's the last play of his life. And he's out there catching punts. He's out there catching kickoff returns. And, I thought the game started off at a really, really good note with the way he started off with that kickoff return, and so you think about our special teams and where we were at Purdue.
to where we are now, where we're kicking the ball, we're punting the ball down to the 5-yard line, we're turning kicks out past the 50. I wish it would have happened earlier. But guys like Jacory, when they want to play special teams, I think it lights everybody else up. Like, hey, I can do this. And we had a bunch of starters out there playing on the special teams today.
All good.
Last question. Is this Emmett Johnson? You guys thought you were going to see this season?
I don't want to say I don't say that. Make sure I couch it the right way. I just think Emmett's got Emmett's like all of our guys on offense. There's probably, as you go through the season, you're not scoring enough points. You start to lose maybe a little the confidence, maybe in what we're doing. Maybe not even in yourself. But Emmett to me was a game breaker today. He was a difference maker. I wish Ramir could have been out there. Obviously Ramir Johnson. If you guys knew the things he's overcome this year to be out there, I mean, it's just amazing person. But it was Emmett, and I thought he played really, really hard. And then Dante, some big crucial ones on third down, the ones even to score the touchdown. I thought the backs hit it and played hard. But I think we have a lot of Carter Nelson. Carter Nelson's out there playing, then he makes a tackle on kickoff. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys, if they just stop at the end of the year and catch their breath and look up, they've really gotten better over the course of this year. And now we have a couple extra weeks of bowl practice to try to get them even to another level.
So Matt, what do you do to celebrate?
What will I do to celebrate?
What do you do to celebrate personally?
Yeah, I'm not talking about that, guys. Don't ask me. I want to ask you.
It's Matt Rule. He is ready to celebrate. Husker Nation is now moved on to the Bob Devetti Sports Center as it's Nebraska-Wisconsin volleyball set to get rocking. It's a packed house here at the Single Barrel. Real Red Reaction continues here. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, Jeff Motz, Tim Bob Kitsmiller, the Pride of Fairbury. Bill Doleman is here. Pretty nice win for Nebraska, 44-25 over them Badgers.
I want to point out what Coach Rule said in his post game about Dana Holgorsen and what he has done with this Husker offense. He brought swagger, and that's what Nebraska needed more than anything. Now, we saw some of that swagger maybe early on in the season, especially against Colorado in the first half. And then, of course, second half, people tend to forget about, Nebraska not scoring again against Colorado, but a win's a win. And then you saw some vulnerability after that. And, of course, the Illinois game, they threw a couple punches right in the mouth. And, Nebraska, got knocked back a little bit. And I think that threw that swagger, whatever swagger they had off early. With Holgorsen now, you got the right guy in place to get this offense going and get them a little bit of swagger. And we saw that today. Coach Rule talked about how Emmett Johnson and Barney and some of those guys were playing well-rounded football games today. They did. Dylan Raiola did too. I thought he did. Again, he just looked like he was doing everything right and was all effortless. It was all natural for him. And it's part of the swagger that they developed today. And he's right. I think that's what Nebraska needed, was some guy that is going to command this offense from the sidelines and say, okay, fellas, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, this, and this. Be confident with it. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, but go out there and be confident. And that's what they did. And I think that's a good point. Yeah, they needed that swagger, and they got it.
Swagger, yes. Demand, yes. You're not going to jack around and play for Dana. You're going to do your job, or you're going to watch. There is accountability on this offense for the first time in a while. I don't know how much was able to slide before the change, but you've got a more dedicated offense, and you're letting the offensive line do their job. You're trusting the offensive line to go open holes for you or protect for you. I mean, Dylan looked super comfortable, had time, stood in the pocket. 7.1 yards per carry for Emmett Johnson today. Nebraska was 7 for 7 in the red zone. Not all touchdowns, but 7 for 7 in the red zone. They've been in the 100 teens all season long when it comes to red zone conversions. You had 473 yards total offense, your second best output since UTEP, and that was against the 33rd best defense in the country. And last but not least, you scored 40 points for the first time. And when's the last time Nebraska scored 40? Probably Purdue but I'm saying in Big Ten play. Was it the 41 they put up on the road with Air Mickey and Trey Palmer?
I looked it up. I think it was Illinois in 2012 21 because my wife asked me that question. When's the last time we scored this many points? So I Googled it. So, yeah, I think it was Illinois 42-38 in 2019.
2019.
Okay.
So,
look, I know the word mercenary has kind of a negative connotation, but I'm okay if they do the movie of Nebraska football and Javier Bardem or Benicio del Toro plays the role of Dana Holgorsen in the movie. Okay, may not quite fit the actual typecast, but I'm okay with one of those guys starring in the role of Dana Holgorsen. All right. I would do whatever. I would give him whatever he wants. I've said it before. If the last guy was making $1.4 million, I say he's going to come in and say, I want $2 million because Houston's still going to be paying me $4 million a year. There's a mitigation clause. So I'll come here for $2 million. I'm good with that.
The two guys this offseason that you pay whatever they ask, Dana Holgorsen and Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah, because Miami's going to come calling for the other guy.
Yep.
Maybe both of them. But, look, here's another thing about Dana Holgorsen. If he is going to stay here, he's not the offensive coordinator. He's the offensive head coach.
You need it.
And he's going to say, I think these are fine people, but I want my guys coaching these positions. I think that, I think Donovan Raiola's job is secure here for a number of reasons and not just family.
The nephew.
Right. Because maybe the nephew's not here. Who knows?
He's doing a camp at Pius. Don't kid yourself. He's here.
So, but look, I think Dana Holgorsen, if he takes the job, it's going to be for a significant amount of money that's going to upset the balance of coordinator pay. And he's also going to be able to have a say on who is working with him on that side of the ball. Look, Matt Rule's the head coach. He's the CEO of the Nebraska Football Corporation. But if your offensive division is needing the VP CEO of the offense, it's Dana Holgorsen. And again, Del Toro or Javier Bardem plays him in the movie.
How did it take bringing in Dana Holgorsen to realize that that's a funny.
I love it, Steven. Satterfield's joining the KFOR morning show. He won't be able to decide what button to push.
And that's where I was going.
Nice.
How did it take bringing in Dana Holgorsen to be the guy that says, "Oh, you know what? Emmett Johnson might be the best running back in the room." I think a lot of
the Average Joe Sports Show, but go ahead.
A lot of Husker fans have been saying that this year, and a lot of Husker fans have been saying the usage hasn't been right. Like Dowdell is a downhill thumper. Emmett Johnson's the guy that you bring in on those zone blocking schemes. He can pick the hole. He can make a man miss, and he can turn a 4-yard gain into an 8-yard gain. I feel like a lot of people have been saying that all year long. Why did it take Dana Holgorsen coming in to find that out? Because Emmett Johnson today it's between him and Ja'Cory Barney, and that might be a disservice to Raiola, but it's between those two for being your guys offensively today that made things tick. I mean, we saw at the end of last year, Emmett Johnson came in and showed out, and then it seems like he's been on the milk carton this year, and then Dana Holgorsen comes in. He's like, you know what? I want that guy running the football, and it's worked.
It's worked, and Emmett showed it before, but you have your preferences, and I'm not saying this is right. This is what I believe. You have your preferences, right? Because, I mean, we heard it early in the year from Sat, right? Oh, I love how Dowdell runs by people and tries to murder them. I'm putting in my own language, but that's the type of physical runner that he really likes. That's why, plus you get the kid from Oregon, and he's kind of a high-profile back. You don't want to screw that up if you're advertising to get more kids of that ilk out of the portal or go after high-profile recruits. Part of it's show and tell. So that's why you give a guy in. Once Dowdell, and he's a young back, once Dowdell continues to get coached vision-wise with where the hole is or the trust issues with the line being able to block or takes a little bit more patience with his run and his running ability, he'll be incredible. But you got to want to keep him here, and to keep him here, he's got to get the football. because kids can leave anytime they want in this portal era and go get paid by someone else. So there's my explanation as to why, not the right reason, but the reason that maybe it's been such a tug of war to get Emmett in. Everybody's doubted Emmett, and all he does is come in and kick ass and take names when given the chance. And that fresh set of eyes is very true with the running back room. Now, whether his position coach and his former offensive coordinator couldn't see it or didn't want to see it, so be it. You got somebody now that does see it and is going to get him 20-plus touches to the tune of 44-25. Guy doesn't fumble the ball. He makes you miss. He's physical, and he just keeps coming. That's a Husker back to me.
And he's still got 2 years of eligibility left.
I know.
I don't want to anoint a guy, but like, hey, Ron Brown went and found him. Ron Brown said, you got to have this guy on roster. He's come in, as you said, all he's done is come in, produce, kick ass, and take names. Have you found your guy moving forward? Do you have your running back for the next 2 seasons?
Check is in the mail, Zach. We love you. There's been a lot of folks calling it, but I just remember talking to our dear friend Ron Brown when he recruited him.
Yeah.
And Elijah, you ran EJ down, not physically, but for the recruiting show we did. And the dude's money, and he's good, and he needs to get more carries. And he will. You'll get to see him in Iowa City, I hope. And I want to see Dowdell as well. He looked pretty good because that's a hell of a 1-2 punch with those two. Running the football, you used Harburg as well. It just brought the necessary diversity and balance to your offense. You didn't get too hung up on throwing it all the time versus running it. Nebraska was in a great groove. Go ahead, Elijah.
I know we need to wind things down here on KFOR. I do want to give a quick update from the Bob. Husker volleyball is rolling early. They're up 9-2 in the first set and hitting a clean 500. So Husker volleyball looks good early as they try to make it a 3-for-3 weekend for Husker men's basketball, Husker football, and Husker volleyball. That's your quick update from there, because I know we're going to be sending it back to regularly scheduled programming here momentarily on KFOR. I assume we'll keep it going on the stream.
Yeah, we'll keep streaming here. Go to the phone, go to the laptop, go to the tablet, the Real Red Reaction YouTube. Go to Hail Varsity YouTube, Hail Varsity Twitter, Hail Varsity Radio Twitter, KFOR Facebook, and KFOR Twitter will let you get to what's coming up on KFOR.
I've got the Dave Ramsey Show.
All right, save your money for that bowl trip.
That's the best.
Don't use your credit card. Pay cash. Pay cash.
Pay cash. When you're going to buy that car with 700,000 miles on it, pay cash.
They're going to go down to New Deal used cars.
Uh-huh. Did you hear what I said? New Deal used cars.
Is that price too high?
That price is too high.
And the Mercedes goes kaboom.
For those of you following along, it's the one of the best B movies ever. Used Cars.
One of Kurt Russell's finest acting moments.
Uh-huh.
How it didn't win an Oscar, I'll never know. But it was robbed.
I just remember the kids sitting in the living room with Dad. Look, Dad, bear bleep on TV. Dad spits out his beer and the old dead dog trick. Toby wants you to buy a car.
Now, you know that was filmed outside of Sun Devil Stadium, right? It was during an Arizona State game.
It shocks me that it's in Arizona.
Yeah.
Elijah's like, let me get to the regular scheduling programming. Elijah, have we departed or are we okay?
Oh, we're still rolling on KFOR. So whenever
is
we're ready, you can wind it down. I think
these are the kind of things you talk about after a routine Husker win.
I do think we need to give one more shout out to our friends at Slim Chickens. 2 locations here.
Yes, thank you.
84th and Old Cheney, 14th and Pine Lake. That's where you go get your chicken hookup if you're celebrating. It's a great place. Maybe you had a few at the game. You need that little, dare I call it a hangover meal? Slim Chickens is the place to go.
Well, you didn't need the live chicken today, right?
No.
You got the win. You got the win over whiskey, and it's good. And get some chicken from Slim Chickens to go with your whiskey tonight as you're celebrating Big Red Victory Bowl bound. Thanks for tuning in to KFOR, KFORnow.com. Back at you Monday at 6 a.m. Morning hookup at 10 a.m. Hail Varsity, alive and well, back at you at 4. And while you're hearing us on the radio airwaves, the Average Joe Sports Show live tomorrow, the Sunday live pod at 10:30. Check that out as well. All right, Elijah, do your thing. Press the button, my friend.
And we keep it rolling here online. I know Motzi and Tim Bob, you guys have hit your allocated contract time. So
one more thing I'm going to point out here before I close things out on my end here. Growing up, in the 80s into the 90s and seeing what Nebraska football was every single year. I mean, if you saw it or heard it or read it, you were used to seeing a Nebraska team that averaged 9 wins a season, sometimes 10. Then you get into the 90s and they're winning national championships and they're going undefeated and they're always a contender for that national title. And then you hit this massive 20-some year drought of, not that much success. And what you saw today, I think what everybody saw today primarily reminded me of the old Nebraska, the swagger again, as we go back to that term that Coach Rule used in post game. And that, I think, is the hidden ingredient more than anything with this football team. Not just offense, but defense too. You just got to have a little bit of confidence and a little bit of, we're not going to take any, we're going to go down. We're not going to take any crap from anybody. We're just going to go out there and we're going to play our brand of football. We're not going to back down from anybody. That's the type of approach you got to have. And I saw that today, both sides of the football. I thought they looked really good. Probably, I would say by far the best effort this season that I've seen this team produce. And, even past the Pelini era, even those teams had some good moments. They just couldn't win those big games. But I think this is kind of a sign of what the old Nebraska football reminded me of today was this team and the way they played. And I think this is the type of mindset you got to have moving forward, especially when you go into Iowa next week, and come out with a win and then go into your bowl game, get ready for that and get ready for next year.
Well, it's part of development, and Nebraska has to have development, and Matt Rule's a stickler with that. You're going to get an extra spring game pretty much with bowl practices, which is huge.
Tim Bob, a final thought from you?
Well, I'm gonna say something that maybe isn't popular here, but Dana Holgorsen called a great game, and you could tell that he gave confidence to the team, but there's a reason why he's unemployed, and he maybe is hard to handle in the long run. We'll see how it all works out, but it's a great win today. Confidence was a huge factor, and you could see it on the play. Whether it was a quarterback or the backs, they knew where to go. There was no doubt. They hit the hole with confidence. The whole process looked like we've got a game plan and we're going to go execute it, which is what you expect. And so I'm happy for that. I am going to say Nebraska needs to quit chasing the 90s and go play today's football because it's a lot different game than what they're playing. So quit chasing the 90s. It's a different game. It's a different thing. Money's going to change everything. But
I agree.
Celebrate the win. You got 6 wins. Go beat Iowa. Happy for that. But Dana Holgorsen in big amounts may not be everything we think he is tonight, but that's my personal bias.
Good stuff. Tim, Bob, Motzi, appreciate you both. Thank you for another great season, fellas. See you guys.
See you Monday.
Yep. All right, good stuff. And did you say Scott's on the line?
Yes, sir.
Scott, thanks for listening. Thanks for checking in on Real Red Reaction. Go ahead, bud.
Sure. Hey, how are you guys this evening?
We're all right, man. Nebraska got it handled.
I'm telling you. And so I'm thinking that when Luke Fickell gets home to Madison tonight, I think he's going to have a for sale sign in his yard.
He may have had a few before the trip to Lincoln.
Well, I'm thinking tonight's a good chance also.
Well, that was a tough one for Whiskey. He tried to pull the rule and change coordinators, and they just weren't good enough. Coach Alvarez pretty much laid it out as far as lack of identity and getting in their own way, and they did. Nebraska also gave them a lot of stress on offense.
I sure did. Hey, you guys keep up the good work and enjoy the show, and yeah, appreciate it. Thank
Scott,
you.
appreciate you. Thanks for
Happy
listening, bud.
holidays.
Thank you, Scott.
Appreciate
Right
you,
out.
Scott. Thanks for calling, man. You're welcome to get in. We can still patch you through at 489-1240. Real Red Reaction, powered by Slim Chickens. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel, and the pride of Fairbury is Bill Doleman. So we kind of laid out what was needed for Nebraska, and that's points. You get points, Bill and Elijah. You get stellar defense. I mean, that's the first time Nebraska's got a win when they've allowed more than 14 points. It's also the first time they've scored more than 40 points. So that works out pretty well for Nebraska. But the gamble that was a reality and needed to make this change this late in the year, it was bold. It was bold. It was calculated. It feels like that this wanted to be done to start the year, where you had Dana in place as OC, but with him having all control on the direction of the offense, the personnel on the offense, what's going on with it, you've seen really nice things. You saw enough points last week to win, but not the red zone execution you wanted. You saw more decisiveness on the offense by Raiola. You saw really good work by the ground game, and you saw a really nice jump from week 1 to week 2. With that, we've got all week in a shortened week to talk Nebraska and Iowa City, but this is just such a better feel. And the end of the game, just kind of walking through the streets to get back here to the Single Barrel, there's so much joy. It's nice to see the fan base happy. It's nice to see the Husker fans eat, drinking, being merry. They're watching volleyball now, but the mood has absolutely flipped because it's been a long November, the last couple of Novembers. Players don't deserve it. The coaching staff didn't deserve it. What they did do is they did something about it.
Well, fair to say.
One of the questions I have is going back to listening to Matt Rule. Is Dana Holgorsen brought the swagger. Why didn't they have a swagger? I don't understand how that had to be manufactured. I mean, if you've been recruited to play at this level,
it's kind of faith in your leader to me.
Yeah, I'm just perplexed by we haven't had swagger. Well, why not? Why aren't there people on staff or players that have been recruited that bring in a little attitude? And I know Tim Bob mentioned, we got to get away from the 90s. Look, I get it. I lived it. I was, kind of on the inside of all that. But you had players that came here with an attitude and a leadership quality that it permeated the program. Is that something you're missing when you're recruiting these really great athletes and all of this speed, but you're missing something about the leadership and whatever? And I think swagger comes from leadership. So are you recruiting that kind of athlete? Are you not hiring that kind of coach? Is it, Nebraska too nice? I mean, I get that, you want to be a classy program and compete with integrity, but come on.
Tuck has a point. Sleep pods derail swagger.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Average Joe Sports Show. That's what I said is they want to go back to, like, the UCLA game was one of the worst 30 minutes of football I've seen in 50 plus years of watching Nebraska football because of the absolute disinterest and the coddling and the comfort that there are, not just at Nebraska.
I believe it's termed amenity.
But with all of these high level programs, that they're very comfortable. And they, I don't want to leave the locker room right now. I'm really comfortable. I want to go to my sleep pod. I want to play with my iPod. I want to go to Club Husker. And Nebraska's not the only one. There is an arms war when it comes to all of those amenities at those schools. But you got to find that player that, has leadership qualities and understands that sometimes there's got to be some tough love, and you have to have coaches that way. So we talked about Dana Holgorsen, and we barely know the guy here. We know of him, and we have seen him coach. But we all know Charlie McBride. Is Dana Holgorsen the new Charlie McBride, where, you love your players, but sometimes that love is tough.
Well, and that's why Schmidt and I had the question this week. What was Nebraska's response to that tough love going to be? I mean, you've had a senior class that has been put through the ringer during their time at Nebraska, coaching changes, doubts from the outside. That was my question coming into this is we knew Dana was laying down the law at practice this week. He was being tough love at practice this week. That was my overarching question. I can admit, I think my doubts may have been a little bit misplaced. That team surprised me with their response today, and that's not a bad thing, but that's what Dana came in and did. He lit a fire. I think we're off the air now, so I don't have to be careful. I'm not going to cuss or anything, but he lit a fire under their asses. That's what he did this week. He came in and we talked about Emmett Johnson kicking butt and taking names on the field. That's what Dana Holgorsen was doing on the practice field this week. He was holding those guys to a high standard. From what I understand, he lit a fire under them. He gave them that tough love. And that was just the question to me, is the senior class, with everything they've been through on a losing streak, how are they going to respond to that kind of tough love? Were they going to come out motivated, or were they going to roll over and say, you know what? I'm done after this. I'm going to the portal. I'm going to go find a job. I'm going to the NFL, whatever it may be. That was my big overarching question. What we saw today was a team that needed that responded well to that. And I think that's a credit to Dana Holgorsen, because, he's been around the block. He knows how to coach. He's been an offensive coordinator. He's been a head coach. He knew exactly what buttons to push this week, and he got the result out of him. And the result is the best performance I think Nebraska has shown since Matt Rule has shown up on campus. That's what today was. They not only did they get bowl eligibility, they did it with style points, and they did it in a way that makes you think, you know what? There might be something here. And that is so far from where we were whenever I was out in LA last week, and you're talking about another dejecting, demoralizing loss. What they showed today was style points. They showed confidence. They showed me the best performance that they have put on the field since Matt Rule stepped foot into that coaching office.
What he was able to process in 3 weeks, from a personnel, from a game plan, from an attitude, from a toughness, and then get them to do it in a second game against a good defense, against a physical defense, is super impressive. That's all there is to it. And then the demand, and credit to Rule for letting him have free reign to go get that out of his guys. It was needed, but it's worked out. It has worked out. You've got life is a lot about relationships, and you've got a guy that is respected by Dana in Rule, and they've been able to stay tight. They're represented by the same guy for sure, but you look at this situation that Dana willingly walked into. He's listening. And he was listening in December. So, it's an upward arrow for this moment. You felt that in September when you beat Colorado, but you can feel it again in November, right? They take care of the football, play tough defense. They can go get one more in Iowa City. They could end up 8-5. We're getting way ahead of ourselves on that, but listen, we didn't know what to expect other than what we had heard about how the week of practice went. Some of the body language, some of the those morale questions wasn't to stir a meth lab or be wrong or right. It was what we were hearing. And it's okay with a team that's lost 4 in a row, with a team that beats you by a lot or by a little 10 straight times, coming in here with their own crossroads. Nebraska really manned up. That's impressive.
Here's another thing that the rule has talked about, like this is, we're going into year 3, and this is my third job like this, Temple, Baylor, Nebraska. And he talks about the process. We knew it was going to be hard. We knew it was, you're going to go through this stuff. Okay, that's all well and good. And I don't disagree with that. But let's be honest. He's never made a move like the one he made last week.
Ever.
Right. I mean, that
some
was
saw it as panic.
Exactly. You could talk about the process, and this is how you put the foundation in place, and maybe you've got those moments where there's some tough love, but you're going to go through these growing pains as we move from the previous culture. And okay, yeah, we get that. Dana Holgorsen was not part of the process. That was a move, and Holgorsen said it in his press conference. He called me and said, I need you here. You got to get here. That is not part of the blueprint at Temple, at Baylor. That was a move like, I got to do something right now, and I'm not going to say
or
panic.
I'm going to lose it.
Right. So we can talk about, yes, there's going to be growing pains in the process. Okay, that's fine. We get that. We understand that. But you made a move because you had to make a move, and you were a little desperate because it was slipping away from you, and you had to go outside of your book, outside of your blueprint, outside of your way of thinking. And so far, so good. You may have lost at USC, but there was better rhythm offensively. Tonight, there was better rhythm. There was better attitude. There was better execution. There was better confidence. And if that's all as a result of Dana Holgorsen being here, then the desperate move that you made right now for the moment has paid off for you. But now your next move is, I got to figure out a way to keep him here. It's hard to believe that Dana Holgorsen might be the, I don't want to say savior of the program. That's too much. I don't think Dylan Raiola is the savior of the program.
No one person is the savior of a program.
Right. But if you want to keep this thing going and you want these vibes to last, you got to figure out a way to make it contractually attractive to keep the guy that at this moment seems to be the one who has made the difference in this program in a short period of time and something that is now 2 years old.
That's big. I like Nebraska and their usage of Borkature. I like Nebraska.
And don't forget about Lindenmeyer, too. He had a good day as well. Blocking.
Both those guys blocking and catching. The Borkachure's a guy that's put the work in, has some good movement for his size. It's big time. And you have a guy right now that's been through the wars as an offensive coordinator, as a head coach. There's been a lot of breadcrumbs from Rule this season. And he's got somebody up here that's sat in that chair before to bounce things off of and maybe help him get better. There's some insight. It's all good that he has the old bat line to T.O., and he uses that. It's nice that they've got the bat line to Uncle Charlie. They use that. But you got a guy that's just been in it that has come in and done a whale of a job. We've got about 7 minutes left before we hug it out and tell you to tune in on Monday for Hail Varsity. Tune in tomorrow at 10:30 for the Average Joe Sports Show Live, the live pod tomorrow to kind of recap and lay out what's next, not only Iowa City, but what's next potentially for late December. With Nebraska. 489-1240 to get in. 489-1240. 800-825-5865. Numbers to dial up. But no, I mean, just all of what came together today. Was there ever a point, guys, where you felt uncomfortable about Nebraska hanging on to this lead? mean, the 58-yard bomb. It's like,
No.
okay, are they going to go away? They went for 2. They got it. It's 12-point ball game. But Nebraska always had an answer, always had a response.
Whoever said Nebraska or Wisconsin is without an identity, I think is exactly right. That
is Barry Alvarez.
You could be 6th floor of the press box where we watch the games from, and the offensive line was just so imposing, and you just watch them offensively and never felt like, just kind of like we know the pipeline, and you don't see that from the Nebraska. You just didn't see that identity with Wisconsin, and I think that when Nebraska got up and Wisconsin answered, didn't they? And then Nebraska answered again and again and again. I never thought that Wisconsin mentally was in the game, and I think that program. I think that program, as Nebraska closes out the first set over Wisconsin 25-21 to take a lead in their Big Ten matchup down at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. I don't know where Wisconsin goes. They've never had really any momentum under Luke Fickell. Nebraska at times has felt like that they've had some momentum with Matt Rule, but that car is just not firing, and I don't know what they do.
It's too bad, and I'll say this: like, this is going to sound weird with Wisconsin, but when Fickell was at Cincinnati, he had, I don't want to say better lines of scrimmage, but he had better players that maybe didn't end up at Ohio State in the AAC. Out of Cincinnati, the Ohio Valley, he was loaded. And you've seen other coaches, D'Antonio, Kelly, everyone's been had a launching point from Cincy. You win at Cincy, you can go to your Big Ten or Notre Dame school coming from Cincy because of that region, the recruiting relationships. He's the first guy from Cincinnati to move on that has struggled. All he's known has been elite talent as D coordinator at Ohio State under Urban. And then he goes to Cincy and kills it. And by the way, I mean, he's got first-round picks playing for him. But then you get to Wisconsin, and you've got to do it. You've always had to do it a little different at Wisconsin. You're going to get really good offensive linemen. You're going to sprinkle in some backs in from that region or Milwaukee or Chicago or wherever. And you're going to have a genius running your defense in that 3-4 Badger front. But he's tried to go more modern, and sometimes the old ways are the best ways with how and who you can recruit to your offense. And what you have running offensively, you really can't recruit to. You don't break what's not broken, and he's done that.
Here's a danger for Wisconsin too.
It's their era of Callahan. Now, Bill brought in good players, didn't end up coaching them up. Bo did that, but that's where they're at right now. They're in their Callahan era.
But they are also the potential for apathy, which we have all feared around Nebraska. I think the potential for apathy there could settle in more quickly, and one of the reasons why everybody's passionate about the Packers. They have something else. They have something to distract them from Wisconsin, but there's also several other schools. But look, people are more passionate about the Packers than the Wisconsin Badgers. And if they can turn their attention to Sunday afternoon and just skip Saturday, the potential for apathy to have to settle into that program. And I go back to what I said the other day on Average Joe. They have still not healed from the early season firing of Paul Christ. And that was 3 years ago now.
Mid-season, yeah.
And then Jim Leonard takes over, very popular, favorite son defensive coordinator. And he doesn't get the job, to me, inexplicably, but he doesn't get the job. So there was even further hurt that if you're going to fire Christ, one of us, then you better hire Leonard one of us, and then you don't do either one of them, and then you bring in Luke Fickell, and it's not working, and it doesn't seem as though the outreach to the state of Wisconsin, much like give Rule all the credit in the world, and Ed Foley, they have gone around and they have tried to bring the state back in to the fabric of Nebraska football, and I think they've done a good job of that. That's not happening at Wisconsin, and they've had some serious empty seat pockets the last couple of years, and people don't jump around quite as high as they once did there. And that's going to be a problem if they don't get it solved quickly.
Elijah, no one's on the horn. You get chewed out for picking Bucky as well, or no?
No, we had our good friend Crew calling. He just wanted to say his residence is open if Nebraska plays in a bowl game down in Phoenix. So,
well, we got to get Crew over to my mom's house sometime. Have a beer on the patio sometime. So, per a source, Sexy Grinch, Crew, the shirtless man you saw in L.A., getting Elijah a coffee. Chris and Elijah are cuddling in my bed in Phoenix when Nebraska's bowl game is here. There's no cuddle factor with me. There's certainly no cuddle factor with Elijah in that stash.
That sounds like a lawsuit one way or another.
It does. We go to our respective corners and coexist till daylight.
I will say a final thought here from me. Thank the Lord. Nebraska's in a bowl game. The cloud is gone. And a great suggestion and on Twitter from Josh. He says on Monday, he's going to need the Hallelujah Open that we used a couple years ago when Nebraska basketball finally won their first Big Ten game under Fred Hoiberg. You know what I'm talking about, Schmitty? I'm not going to sing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll work on that, Josh. I think that could be a fitting way to open Monday's show. So that's a final thought from me. Hallelujah. The long Nebraska nightmare is over. Going bowling. The cloud is gone. We can move on. 6. It's here. We can celebrate it for now. It's on to bigger and better things for Matt Rule and the Husker football program.
We may have to shop our services around with all this kind-heartedness between Crew, my mom's pad, and then Arizona Husker. Gold Canyon sounds incredible. We'll pack the clubs. May never return. I like that. Appreciate y'all. Thank you much for checking us out with Real Red Reaction. Big thanks to Slim Chickens. We'll be back at you on Monday with Hail Varsity. Live tomorrow, the live pod, the Average Joe Sports Show. Like and subscribe there to site. Oh my Lord, the bunny is been drinking since 11 today. I love that. My lovely wife is here.
No comment.
No comment?
No comment.
The bunny had someone buying her drinks today. I'm not kidding you. It wasn't me either.
But thanks.
But thank you. That's about right.
Enjoy the celebration tonight, sir.
I just like, well, we'll just leave that one be. We'll be back tomorrow, though, 10:30 for the live edition of the Average Joe Sports Show, and back at 4 on Hail Varsity. Elijah, appreciate you. Billy D, thank you much.
All right, bro.
All right, we'll talk to you.
Thank you, guys, and thank you, Slim Chickens.
Thank you, Slim Chickens. 14th and Pine Lake, 84th and Old Cheney.
Drunk bunny.
Black Hills Brendan says the drunk bunny. Yes, the bunny is ready to go. Yeah, it's all right, sweetie. Where'd you get all those ones?
On that note.
All right. Thanks to all of you in the stream and on the airwaves. Appreciate you much. We'll talk to you next time.